Yep. Yeah. So jump right into it, man. My name is Jeremy. Let me pause this for a second. I feel like this is very important information. Or maybe just turn it down a little bit. So, yeah. So, my name is Jeremy. People refer to me as Jay Taylor. They call me Jay Taylor. I go by JT Expressive on my own. Let me minimize this. I don't want to be looking at myself. I'm rolling. All right. Let's try this again. My name is Jeremy. I'm an author. I don't know how this video found you, but if it found you, I'm excited that it found you. I've written 2 books so far. One of them is titled Dream. The second is titled Midnight Blues, a Renaissance murder mystery, which is what this stream has brought you to. This stream is important to me because I published that book back in November of 2025, so November of this year, and it took me a while to write this book because I'm a new author. This was my first fiction novel. The book I wrote before this was nonfiction. So this is my first fiction novel. The book I wrote before this was nonfiction. So it was a first for me, if you can imagine the difficulty of trying to understand writing fiction, developing character voices, scene building, world building. It was a lot. But I enjoyed the process quite a bit. And something that I've always wanted to do with this book was make like an audiobook. And I had this big grand dream of what said audiobook would be and how I would go about building that. And I've started like compiling beats. Part of the music you might be hearing, it's a little low, but part of what you are hearing is some of the beats that I've developed. But in the process of doing this, I realized the reality of making beats. I mean, making a book, right? And it ain't at all what you think. It's not as simple as, oh, I'm gonna get in front of a mic, I'm gonna record, because I thought that's what it was. And that's not at all what it is. So I took the last, what do we got? February, so we'll say March, April, May, June, July, August. Last 6 months. Okay. I took the last 6 months and I really just gave a lot of thought to how do I want to try and put this offering together, because it means a lot to me. Like, to me, it's the soundtrack of the book, and I'm going to be the one reading it. So I've been like putting practice in on my voice, like really being particular about how I'm going to develop this audiobook. So I was with a friend probably like 3 weeks ago, I'd say, at this point, maybe 2 weeks ago. And I had a lot going on this day. I'm going somewhere here. Stay with me. I had a lot going on this day, and I was like, hey, man, I'm going to pull up on you. Let's just rap. I got some things I want to run by you. But it was a lot happening. It's things I don't want to get into. But when I get there, my phone started blowing up. And as my phone is blowing up, I'm like, oh, crap, man, I can't stay nearly as long as I want. But I'm like, man, what I'm thinking about doing is, man, I want to get on YouTube. I want to make this live stream. And I just want to try and get the audiobook out that way, man. Just really work on the recording sessions. I don't know, man, like the making of an audiobook or something. And that light went off in my head. Excuse me. The making of an audiobook. 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 And it stuck with me and it stayed with me. And since that day, I have not been able to get out of my mind the making of an audiobook. So I'm like, you know what? I want to do a live stream. I'm going to title the live stream. It's going to be a series. And I want to call it The Making of an Audiobook. The creating of an audiobook is what I have tweaked it to. The initial idea was making of an audiobook. But I started thinking to myself, I was like, okay, I kind of like creating an audiobook because making implies like me recording. And while that is a part of it, creating is I want to spend this time listening to beats. I want to spend this time working on my dialect and my different characters. I want to spend this time going through like, okay. So today I'm going to be reading chapter 1. And let's say this book is set in the 1930s. So we'll say 1930s, 40s, Black Louisiana. I'm probably spelling that wrong. Let's just try wealth. So what I'm looking for is like let's see. It was an idealization that I came up with, right? This is the book, and I don't want to get too much into it, but like it's a murder mystery. So think if you got like this pulled up on the murder mystery. Part of the book is set like back in this late time, and a lot of the things that I want to do on this stream is not only read the book and focus on recording. I also want to talk through inspiration. Like a big part of this book was the inspiration. Another part of this book that really inspired me was Harlem Nights. Like I think everybody, well, I ain't gonna say everybody, but like a lot of people have seen this movie. But like this character, I built one of my characters off the back of Jasmine got here. You know what I mean? Like when I was envisioning, well, I say when me and my people were envisioning the different characters in the book, these are people I would think, these are people I was thinking about. You know what I mean? Like, this is not in the book. You'll find this guy named Silky. This is not Silky, but that's who he was built after. You'll find this guy named Chubbs. This isn't exactly how I saw Chubbs, but like these characters helped me develop it. So I feel like to put this book together, to create this audio book, it's like me coming to YouTube every so often. Like I'm thinking once a week to start. We'll get the consistency down, I promise. Like I know I've tried several different ventures, but this one feels really true to me. I gotta run this song back. Like I really like this song. Hold on one sec. I gotta run it back. Sorry, I gotta run it back. My boy Bank snapped with this one. And if you're looking for my dog, I'm always gonna show love, and I'm not gonna stay here too long. Am I on the thing? Yeah, another. This is my dog. Like if you looking for the beats, if all these good tunes you might hear throughout this thing, check my guy out. This is another D Banks production. I've known this brother for many years. He's extremely passionate about his music. He's extremely passionate about his work. He helps me with a lot of stuff. My whole circle, bro. Like just a quick vent session, a quick moment. The people who push me and inspire me to be creative are just people I've known for a very long time. And it's just that whole circle is very inspirational in general, right? But back to the topic at hand, because I told myself I got a set timeline tonight and I'm not gonna rant. We got many more episodes to do that ranting, but let's just set the tone. This is who's making the beats, a lot of the beats. But although we're gonna use a lot of his beats, we also gonna be on YouTube. You know, finding beats on YouTube, tapping in. Like really, I felt like the purpose of this live, I don't know how long it's gonna take to put this audio book together. This is the book. The book is, I don't know, it's essentially like 82,000 words. You get what I'm saying? It's 82,000 words. So I don't know how long it's gonna take us to put this together. I've never done an audio book before. Never. I have no idea. I have no clue. I just know that this is what's important to me, right? like I said, I don't know how long it's gonna take us to put this together. This is the book, this is the product, and we're just gonna read through it. If it takes us 6 months, it takes us 6 months. If it takes us 8 months, it takes us 8 months. If it takes us a year, it takes us a year. But once a week, and eventually even more consistently than once a week. But I'm gonna make it a point to do a new day every week. So once a week for sure. I'm gonna come on, read, work. You'll actually see me record the core lines into like the actual audio software. We're gonna go through picking instrumentals together, building out the soundtrack, the like I want it to be an audio experience. So you will really get to like feel it out, man, and like see what's next and what's gonna happen and what's gonna come from it. So that's the plan. That is the plan. And I'm sorry, I'm new to this, so let me check my notes and make sure I ain't missing nothing on my intro. So I told you what this was. Welcome. And if I did say welcome, welcome again. Welcome. This is day one of creating an audiobook. The audiobook we're going to be creating is Midnight Blues. We're going to be going through all of the phases, all of the ranges of creating an audiobook. So if you've ever been curious how someone does it, and I'm going to record it. It's going to be self-recorded. I'm not paying nobody. I'm doing it all myself. I got a team in place to help me with editing, to help me with sound design, to help me with all of that stuff. So you are in for a ride. We're going to put it together. Episode by episode by episode, brick by brick by brick. And then we're going to get to the end of this, and you and I will both have a full audiobook in the chamber that I can put out to the consumers to listen to. Explain why. I talked about what the long-term journey looks like. Did I mention that? So I think we're good. Let's just get to it. Let's read the book. Let's read chapter 1. Let's read chapter 1. Let's get a good record going. I was rocking with that stadium. Let's start there. All right. Today, we're just going to read chapter 1. And I'm going to try and do my best with the character, with the narration. I don't know how long it's going to take, but just tune in. Let's get to it, man. Okay. Midnight Blues. What do I look like? Let me make sure I look halfway decent. Maybe I should come more like this, yeah. Maybe I should come more like this, yeah. We'll figure it out. Let me know the angles. Oh, what can you do to help? What can you do to help? What you can do to help is leave a comment. Tell me what I can do better for the next video. Tell me what you would be interested in for the next video. Tell me critiques around voices and things like that. Help me make it better. Not to say that I'm going to use it all, because I think I've learned that too many cooks in the kitchen is never a good thing. But I listen. I have an obsession. Let me just go here real quick. I have an obsession. I'm from Mississippi. I have an obsession with fried catfish. I was fried catfish at a very, very young age, a very young age. I think the first time I ever had catfish, I had to be less than 10. I was in the Mississippi Delta. That's where my people are from Rolling Fork, Mississippi. And I remember my grandfather had went fishing. My memory is a little cloudy behind it. You know, sometimes the imagination does one thing and it didn't really happen that way. But I feel like I remember going fishing with him. And we came back with a bucket of fish, a white bucket with water, dirty water, catfish swimming around in it. And I remember him taking a fish out of that bucket, nailing it to a tree with a hammer like it was nothing, nailing it to a tree and skinning it up. That's one occasion. And then frying it up. Great fish, great, phenomenal fish. And then I remember another instance where my grandmother took a catfish. It was flapping all over the place. She took a big cleaver and busted over the head with the cleaver, killed it, skinned it, fried it up. Some of the freshest, best catfish I have had to this day. Now, why do I bring that up? Because I have an obsession with it. I have an obsession with frying some of the best catfish. So I sample. I eat more catfish than you probably would. Anybody that's willing to fry it, I'm willing to try it. And if it's something in there I'm tasting that I like, I'm like, hey, what's that? Let me know. So saying that about this, how can you help? Tap in, give me opinions, give me advice. Let me know where we are and all of this stuff. What's working, what's not working, what voices are working, what voices are not working. And then ultimately, we're going to put together a good audiobook. So let's get going. Midnight Blues by Jay Taylor. For the lovers of a good story, thank you for giving this one a chance. The story unfolds. Chapter 1. A murder. A good enemy is better than a false friend. Silky. Frankie stood alone on the back terrace, the crisp winter air brushing against his skin as he looked out at the well-manicured lawn stretching before him. Inside, the staff bustled about, a flurry of activity aimed at perfection for tonight's gathering. Unlike last year's wild extravaganza, Frankie had opted for something more intimate for his 30th birthday, a quiet evening with close friends and family. He reminisced about the previous year's chaos, a smirk playing on his lips, wondering if a quieter celebration would suit him. Frankie was determined to go legit, and the debut of his new hit, Midnight Blues, would set things in motion. Lost in thought about his future and the changes he yearned to make, Frankie was pulled back to the present by the sound of a car pulling up. He sauntered back inside, barefoot, his interest piqued as he felt the cold grass give way to the cool floorboards. Belle, his wife and confidant, had left in a mysterious manner, and her refusal to disclose her destination only fueled his curiosity. Perhaps she was back with some surprise in tow for his birthday. Frankie peered through the window as he made his way toward the front door, his brow narrowing in surprise. Jimmy stood there composing himself, uninvited, unexpected. Pulling the door open, Frankie walked out. He had a way of putting people at ease, even when they had reason to be angry with him. As Frankie calmly approached, Jimmy rehearsed his confrontation speech under his breath. Frankie greeted him with a cautious smile, intrigued by this unannounced visit. However, Jimmy's arrival was no coincidence. He had come with an agenda to confront Frankie about the burglary at his warehouse that had cleared him out. Jimmy was livid. I know it was you, Frankie. I can't prove it, but I know it was you. The accusation hung in the air. Frankie raised his hands in a mock surrender, a disarming smile on his lips. All right, you got me. But come on, Jimmy. You didn't really think we'd let you move in on the business without sending a message, did you? Jimmy's expression hardened as he stepped closer, his voice dropping to a frantic whisper. Frankie, you don't understand. This is serious. The people I owe this money to, they don't mess around. His voice cracked, desperation bleeding into his tone. I need that money, Frankie. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I got greedy, but I need that fucking money. Frankie's smile faltered for a split second before he regained his composure. He shrugged, his tone steady, but the weight of Jimmy's words lingered. All right, I'll admit, things got messy, and for that, I owe you more than an apology. Jimmy let out a sharp breath, his frustration bubbling over. An apology? Frankie, this isn't some petty squabble. You have no idea what I'm dealing with here. Frankie studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. You want my side of the track, right? Fine. You could sell there, but you do it under my protection and my rules. You get your stash back and we both walk away clean. That's my offer. Frankie let the silence stretch before locking onto Jimmy's wary expression. Here's how I see it. The big man has forced your hand, and now you're stuck working with me. Lucky for you, I've been looking for a way out. Initially, Jimmy bristled with resentment, his posture rigid. Sensing the brewing storm, Frankie maintained his composure, aware of the evening's significance and need for calm. As Frankie spoke, Jimmy's anger dissolved into contemplation, then acceptance. The men settled deeper into conversation about the terms, and the tension dissipated. Before long, Jimmy found himself inside the house, sitting in a plush chair, sipping a drink and listening to Frankie explain that they now only had one common enemy. Jimmy's previous anger faded, and he relaxed. Frankie invited Jimmy to stay, and after some insistence, Jimmy relented. As Frankie and Jimmy sat there conversing, the front door opened. Their dialogue was interrupted by the arrival of Chubbs, Frankie's best friend and business partner. Let me change this record. Need to be a little more grimy. I can work with this. Before long, Jimmy found himself inside the house, sitting in a plush chair, sipping a drink and listening to Frankie explain that they now only had one common enemy. Jimmy's previous anger faded, and he relaxed. Frankie invited Jimmy to stay, and after some insistence, Jimmy relented. As Frankie and Jimmy sat there conversing, the front door opened. Their dialogue was interrupted by the arrival of Chubbs, Frankie's best friend and business partner. Chubbs, who had arrived early to assist with the party, arched an eyebrow at Jimmy. "What brings you here?" he asked, distrust evident in his voice. Jimmy, about to retort, was cut off by Frankie. "Gentlemen, let's not sour the evening," Frankie interjected smoothly. "Jimmy's just here to extend his birthday wishes." Not entirely convinced, Chubbs let the matter drop. The staff moved gracefully, continuing to set the scene for the night as Frankie's mind wandered. He pondered his life, the road taking, and those yet to be explored. He often glanced at Jimmy and Chubbs as he considered the intricate web of relationship and loyalties binding them. Each guest brought their own history, their stories intertwining with his in unpredictable ways. The night progressed, and the ambience in the house grew denser with the laughter and chatter of arriving guests. As Frankie moved among them, the perfect host, even as his mind was elsewhere. Frankie moved among them, the perfect host, even as his mind was elsewhere. Soft music played in the background, its gentle melodies weaving through the clinking glasses, filling the air with tranquility. With a determined stride, Kenya approached Frankie from the side and whispered into his ear. "We need to talk." She had a knack for knowing when things needed attention. Frankie's face, usually a mask of composure, tightened at her words. He felt a familiar surge of anger, a tide he had been struggling to keep at bay. Their last conversation was sour, and he dreaded another round of it. Despite his rising irritation, Frankie managed a brief sign of agreement. "All right, Kenya," he said, his voice strained but controlled. "Let's talk in the sunroom. It's secluded enough." He led Kenya away from the other guests. The sunroom, usually filled with soft light, was now illuminated by the setting sun and the glow of candlelight. With the faint scent of jasmine and lavender under their noses, Frankie turned his face to Kenya. "So what's on your mind?" he asked, his voice filled with frustration. Kenya, her back straight, eyes forward, took a deep breath. "I need that fresh start, Frankie. I'm planning to leave town." The words hit Frankie like a physical blow. He shook his head in desperation. "Here we go again. Kay, we talked about this." Frankie paced before stopping and turning back to her. "No, Kenya, you can't. You're essential to me here," he implored, his voice carrying a rare vulnerability. "But I can't just stay here, tethered to this life." Kenya's voice rose, tinged with a hint of sadness. "This place feels suffocating, and so does our situation. I want to explore, find my own path, find my voice." Frankie's heart raced. The thought of losing Kenya was unbearable. "You're like my soulmate, Kenya. Losing you?" His voice trailed off, the words too painful to finish. Kenya's face softened. "I know what I mean to you, Frankie, but I need more than this." Her hand reached out, touching his arm gently. The revelation struck a chord in Frankie and slightly annoyed him. He knew their relationship was unconventional, a delicate balance of power, history, and affection. Don't leave, Kenya. There's got to be a way to make this work, he pleaded. Kenya shook her head. I need to do this, Frankie, for me. Frankie's emotions swirled and stepped closer, his demeanor intense as he grabbed her arm. You think it's that easy to walk away from me? He said, his voice rising. To leave everything behind? To leave me behind? He pulled her closer. You're gonna abandon me, just like everyone else. Kenya recoiled slightly, snatching her arm away. I have to try, Frankie. I can't keep following in your footsteps forever. The mood was somber. A silent standoff between two strong wills. Frankie looked softened as he regarded her, his anger giving way. All right, he said, sighing heavily. If you have to go, then go. But remember, it's unforgiving out there, especially for a black woman. You think the world will accept you? The world barely accepts me. I need to stop there. I need that. That was a good clip. That was a good clip. Matter of fact, I'm going to stop right there and go hit the restroom, BRB. And I promise you, I'm about to step back. If you're watching this in live time, you're just watching it through, is I think what they call it is a VOD. That's what the cool kids call it. Like it's a long form video at this point. If you're watching it back, I promise I am going to eventually get some be right back screens. That's coming soon, but give me a second. Oh, and this is hard that on the mobile, the picture is still up there. I like that. Good to know. Feel like I just missed a good record. I need to run that back. Let me find that. Oh. Yeah, that one was good. Okay. Let me see. Before I jump back into the story, let me find another picture. Perfect picture. Just using these as examples. This is what I was seeing. For my people here, this is what I was seeing when I was doing this scene. Not verbatim, but as we started off. Kenya shook her head. I need to do this, Frankie. For me. Frankie's emotions swirled and stepped closer, his demeanor intense as he grabbed her arm. You think it's that easy to walk away? He said, his voice rising. To leave everything behind? To leave me behind? He pulled her closer. You're gonna abandon me just like everyone else. Kenya recoiled slightly, snatching her arm away. I have to try, Frankie. I can't keep following in your footsteps forever. The mood was somber, a silent standoff between two strong wills. Frankie's look softened as he regarded her, his anger giving way. All right, he said, sighing heavily. If you have to go, then go. But remember, it's unforgiving out there, especially for a black woman. Do you think the world will accept you? The world barely accepts me. His attention drifted to the window where Cal, his loyal bodyguard, was visible, momentarily chasing away squirrels in a lighthearted effort to maintain complete order on the premises. Frankie smiled softly, the scene a brief break from the intensity of their conversation. Returning his focus to Kenya, he proposed a compromise. What if you stayed and continued working with me? But I supported your dreams too. No more strings attached. There's nothing for you out there. Kenya was brimming with tears. Do you mean that, Frankie? Truly? I do, Frankie affirmed, pulling her into a reassuring embrace. We'll start fresh, Kenya. When we walk out of this door, we're leaving our old lives and mistakes behind. A new chapter for us both. Kenya smiled. I like that, Frankie, more than you know. Frankie held her close, placing a brotherly kiss on her forehead. Then with a playful smirk, he added, but I'm gonna miss, you know. Kenya gently pushed him away. Oh, Frankie, always trying your luck. You men get sexual at the wrong time. Let's get back to the party. As they stepped into the hallway, the doorbell rang, its sharp tone cutting through the muffled laughter and music. Frankie excused himself from Kenya and strolled to the door, where he was greeted by the sight of Dr. Williams. Frankie put on a big smile, enveloping him in a warm, hearty hug. All right, let's find Frankie and Dr. Williams real quick. That ain't gonna work. We all know what that is. What else we got? Cotton Club. Let's try that. I know the Cotton Club is mostly white, but you got to use your imagination here, right? Like when I saw that don't work. Oh, that's like we're not on the right website. This is not Google no more. Let's see. Boy, I can't spell Renaissance to save my life, dog. That won't be tearing me up. See what we got. Look at all these folks, bro. Yeah, this kind of work. It ain't ideal, but it could work. Oh, Harlem Monopoly. I'm a huge Monopoly fan. I got to get my hands on this. I just want to disable them all. I got to get my hands on this, bro. This is hard. Harlem Monopoly. Like you can bookmark it. They be saying like Joe Budden is really good in Monopoly and stuff like that. I definitely want to play him real bad at some point. Real bad. But anyway, back to the book because we need to get through this. This is good enough. I imagine, is this showing up? Let me see if I can blow this up. Yeah, there we go. I imagine the doctor being one of these two guys. Like one of these two guys. All right. Dr. Williams. Frankie put on a big smile, enveloping him in a warm, hearty hug. Hey there, old sport. Dr. Williams, returning the embrace as they walked into the living room. Dr. Williams, a man of peculiar habit, pulled a bronze flask from his pocket. Care for a drink? He offered, his grin widening. Frankie, with a polite wave of his hand, declined. Thanks, but we've got plenty. Dr. Williams shrugged nonchalantly and put the flask away. Suit yourself, he said. Let's head to the bar so I can make myself a proper drink since you're not indulgent. Frankie couldn't help but laugh. A proper drink? He asked. Absolutely. I can be classy. I'm assuming that that's why you turned down my flask, the doctor quipped. His presence brought a new dynamic to the party. As he sipped his carefully concocted beverage, Frankie asked, so how's the medical business? With a contented sigh, the doctor replied, same old routine. You know, battling the ailment, saving lives, and overcharging for it. Frankie caught the wink from Dr. Williams. Do your patients appreciate your humor as much as your medical skills? He asked. You know, not really. Most of my patients tell me I have terrible bedside manner, but I don't care. I'm old, so I can say whatever the hell I damn well please. The doctor laughed, his voice rich and full. Their conversation was suddenly interrupted as the door swung open, revealing Mississippi Red, a figure known for his flamboyant style and erratic behavior. All right, let me pull up Mississippi Red. And I'm gonna show you Mississippi Red. I'm gonna put myself back on blend. Like when I built out Mississippi Red, oh, I wish I could blow that up. I can't make that no bigger. Or can I? Oh, I want to make that bigger. But this is what I seen for Mississippi Red. I'm gonna have my what am I looking for? I'm gonna have my actual pad with me next time so I can actually blow stuff up. But this is how I saw them. This is how I saw Mississippi Red. There's other variations out there that are better than this one that we'll explore together. But for quick purposes, even this guy, honestly, this kind of how I saw Mississippi Red. Anyway, most of my patients tell me I have terrible bedside manner, but I don't care. I'm old and I can say what I damn well please. The doctor laughed, his voice rich and full. Their conversation was suddenly interrupted as the door swung open, revealing Mississippi Red, a figure known for his flamboyant style and erratic behavior. Look who decided to show up. Let's see what other music we got. Yeah, look who decided to show up. Matter of fact, keep that on for a minute. Look who decided to show up, the doctor observed, taking note of Red's extravagant attire. What's up, fellas? Red slurred, his words painting his inebriated state. You seem to have been enjoying yourself prior to showing up, Frankie commented, trying to keep the mood light, but Red's presence made it difficult. Yeah, I'm living it up, baby. It's New Year's Eve, baby. Red exclaimed, slightly unfocused. With a look of concern, the doctor noted the glazed look on Red's face. You look like you've been hitting the bottle or something else pretty hard, my friend. Mississippi Red brushed off the doctor's concern with a shrug. Just having some fun, that's all. Feeling the potential for trouble, Frankie leaned in and whispered a warning to Red. Let's keep it cool tonight, all right? But Sip, as he was known to his immediate friends and family, retorted with a wicked tone. Oh, daddy, I plan to put on quite the show tonight. At that moment, Chubbs re-entered the room, lifting the mood. Hey, what's the excitement about? He said, greeting everyone with his usual enthusiasm. Red's planning to entertain us, Frankie replied drearily, watching his Chubbs approach Red. My main man, Red said, giving Chubbs a hug. Then he turned towards Frankie, eyeing him in disgust. Frankie interrupted. Listen, Red, you still got a problem? You got something to say to me? It's my fucking party, and I'm not playing these games, Red replied, sounding annoyed. Oh, I'm here to party, man. But you, Frankie, you the one with that wicked vibe. The things you done ain't sitting right on your spirit, and it's clear. Red replied, sounding annoyed. Ah, damn, I read that part. The things you done aren't sitting right on your spirit, and it's clear. Trying to calm things down, Chubb said to Red, man, you look tired. You need to rest up if you're going to make it through the night. You know it's going to be a long one, he continued. But in the meantime, why don't you tell me about that new record you've been working on? I'd love to hear about it. Red looked at him skeptically for a moment before nodding his head. As they walked away, Frankie leaned over to the doctor and whispered, you know, he may be a pain in the ass, but he sure does know how to make things interesting. They clinked their glasses and took a sip of their drinks. Frankie smirked as the two made their way to the couch. They continued chatting and catching up, occasionally glancing over to check on Red and Chubbs. The intimate party was becoming lively. The tunes of down-home blues and jazz continued to fill the room, setting the perfect rhythmic backdrop of the evening's festivities. The doorbell sounded again, and Frankie was momentarily drawn away from the conversations. With a swift stride, he reached the door and pulled it open. There stood Silky, a wide smile on his face and a cane in his hand. Let me pull up Silky. Hold up, let me pull up Silky. I can close out of that. This is what I had in mind for Silky. Right here. Now, granted, it's obviously the 1930s-ish. I kind of wrote it like very vague like that because I didn't want people putting too much of a timeline on it. So it's very much like that. So this is who I had coming into the fold. Let's see if I can find a bigger picture like this or something. I can't get one to pull me one up for me, man. And I did a lot of research on this dude too. A lot of research on Iceberg Slim, actually. He's a very intelligent dude. Very intelligent. There we go. Let's go with that. It's his first iteration with Iceberg. Oh, damn, this a movie? Can't play that. You get copyrighted for that. Or maybe, can you? What does that look like? Fuck it, let's try it. This is who I kind of had in mind. Nephew, how you doing, baby boy? Silky's raspy voice resonated with the warmth familiar to Frankie. It's good to see you, Frankie replied, hugging him. Following closely behind Silky was Christine, his partner, elegance personified. Christine, you look beautiful as always, Frankie said, receiving a graceful smile and a kiss on the cheek in return. As Silky and Christine made their way into the living room, they were accompanied by 4 glamorous women dressed in fine bedazzled silk, adding a touch of extravagance to the evening. Birthday boy, I bought you some presents, Silky announced, half joking as he gestured towards the women. Frankie laughed it off. Come on, you know I don't play them games at home, he replied, reflecting the more reserved side of his social position. Silky's laughter filled the room, his demeanor radiating charisma. The doctor approached, extending a firm handshake to Silky. How have you been, old sport? He inquired, his tone carrying a casual affability. Just keeping up with these young ones and keeping my stable tight, Silky replied, eliciting an eye roll from Christine, who was accustomed to his antics. Observing the scene, Frankie felt a sense of pride watching his uncle. Despite his flamboyant exterior, Silky was a deeply passionate man, a pillar in Frankie's life, often reminding him of his heritage and the greatness within him. Silky stood before and preached to every black person in attendance. You folks were kings and queens in a past life, and don't you forget it. He pointed his finger at each person and spoke. Everyone listened respectfully. Before we turn my nephew's party upside down, take this with you. Start walking in your greatness. You don't have nearly as much time as you think on this earth. Take your life seriously and be better than the generation before you. The group looked to him intently as he concluded. My old ass is a pimp, and that's all I'll ever be. You have a good life in front of you. Now, let's take a shot and forget the night. Tomorrow, we wake up and get after it. Cheers to the new year. As the party's tempo picked up, the doctor's sharp wit and Silky's commanding presence captivated the guests. At the same time, Jimmy's easy Italian charm worked its magic, complementing the other rambunctious storytellers. The three men told raunchy stories and drank as the party continued. People gathered around them, entertained by their embellishments and infectious energy. Meanwhile, Red was in a deep slumber beside the sound system, oblivious to the lively party around him. The doctor, Jimmy, and a few others were drawn to one of Silky's acquaintances. Her allure was undeniable in a bustling room. And who is this lovely lady? That decided to join us? The doctor asked, concluding his final story. Jimmy looked at Sin, captivated by her beauty and sensuous aura. He stepped in and said to the doctor, "This is my friend Sin. She's one of Silky's top girls." Sin gave an innocent smile. "I don't think we've met, but I'm flattered you already consider me a friend." Christine interrupted. "Sin, don't pay Jimmy no attention. He's a troublemaker." Jimmy replied, "Whoa, Chris, come on. Troublemaker? Some girls like a little trouble, you know." He surveyed Sin from head to toe, his eyes lingering longer than necessary, clearly attracted to her. Christine interjected once more. "Well, this one don't like trouble. She likes money." Jimmy backed off as Sin laughed softly. "Now, Sin, this is Dr. Williams. He's an old friend of mine," Christine said, gesturing towards him. Sin sized him up and extended her hand. "It's a pleasure to meet you." "Oh, the pleasure is all mine, my dear," the doctor replied, kissing her hand gently. The music thumped as the party hit its stride, with Frankie fully immersed in the festivities. Just then, he spotted Detective Tony Marlowe and his partner, Junior, making a discreet entrance. Nearby, two women murmured curiously at each other, speculating about the newcomers. Seeing an opportunity to engage, Frankie approached with a friendly tone. "Ladies, I couldn't help but overhear. You wondering about those two gentlemen over there?" The women smiled in agreement, their interest piqued. Smiling back, Frankie confirmed, "They're detectives, and top-notch ones at that. Tony's a great guy and a close friend, and Junior is his partner. Let's treat them like family, shall we?" Wide-eyed and new to the aristocratic party scene, Junior was quickly drawn into Silky's magnetic orbit. Silky's booming voice and larger-than-life personality captivated him, and before long, Junior was laughing at his jokes and flirting with every girl who would entertain him. Marlowe, on the other hand, kept to himself. He remained a silent observer, taking in every detail and interaction while constantly checking his wristwatch. He was social enough with the guests to avoid suspicion, ensuring they didn't think he was watching them, although he clearly was. Frankie noticed from afar that Detective Marlowe seemed more preoccupied than usual. Wanted to ask him about his distant demeanor. Frankie approached and said, "Hey, Tony, you look like you have a lot on your mind. everything all right?" His tone was filled with genuine concern. Marlowe let out a sigh that spoke volumes. "Yeah, I'm fine, Frankie. Thanks for asking," he reassured him before continuing. "It's just a job. It's hard to switch it off, even on nights like this." His words reflected his profession, a constant search for trouble amid celebration. Frankie responded sympathetically. "I can imagine. That must be tough. Hey, how about we get some fresh air?" Marlowe agreed and followed Frankie's lead. The two stepped outside, entering a quiet place away from the party. Frankie leaned against one of the pillars and observed the starlit sky. "So, what's on your mind, Marlowe?" he asked. Marlowe opened up about the burdens of the job, the pressures he faced, and the conflict between duty and personal desire that waged war within him. He took a deep breath. "It's just the crappy side of the job. I'm always looking for the bad in people. It's not a good feeling." He continued, a depressed look on his face. "Let's be honest. It's your birthday, and instead of enjoying it, I'm watching people." He sipped his drink. "But the sad thing is, I love it. I actually love it too much. I love the chase, the thrill of catching criminals. I love looking into other people's minds and uncovering the clues they never knew existed." Marlowe shook his head and added, "I'm obsessed, man. And my career is probably going to be the death of me." Frankie stepped closer to Marlowe and rested his hand on his shoulder. "Don't let the pressure get to you, Tony." Marlowe smiled faintly. "Thanks, Frankie. I appreciate it. It's good to talk about it. I don't get to do that much." Frankie affirmed and said reassuringly, "You're a good man, Tony, and a damn good detective." Marlowe's smile hinted at how seldom he experienced such candid conversations. The moment outside was a brief interlude of honesty in an evening filled with superficial joys. The exchange between the two men momentarily faded into the background as a car pulled up. Frankie's heart sank as he realized the vehicle belonged to Judge Kincaid, a symbol of cynicism and arrogance. When the car parked, Kincaid stepped out and eventually came towards Frankie, flanked by his roughneck bodyguard, Hogg. The judge exuded an air of entitlement as he approached. "Frankie, my boy," Kincaid sneered in his fake Southern Creole drawl, extending an envelope to him. Frankie's stomach churned at the court documents, a looming reminder of the trumped-up charges Kincaid held over him. Frankie thought that if he was ever going to stand up to the judge, tonight would be the night. "Judge, let's talk privately," Frankie suggested, masking his anxiety as he handed the documents back to the judge. "Seems you're having yourself a ball, son. How about you make good on your payment, and I'll get out of here so you can enjoy your night?" The judge smiled. "I think you'll want to hear what I have to say," Frankie added. Judge Kincaid stroked his dirty beard. "Oh, well, lead the way, son." Detective Marlowe, picking up on the underlying hostility, inquired about Frankie's well-being. Frankie responded with the cool, "I'm handling it." Let's see, pick another record. All right, I'm almost at the end, bro. I need that dark stuff. Yeah, this be good. This feel like something good for this area. All right. Judge Kincaid stroked his dirty beard. "Well, lead the way, son." Detective Marlowe, picking up on the underlying hostility, inquired about Frankie's well-being. Frankie responded with a cool, "I'm handling it," signaling he was in control. They made their way through the home and entered the cashmere room. Once they were inside, the ambiance shifted, and Frankie broke the ice. "Should we have a drink before we get started?" Kincaid looked to his bodyguard. "Hogg, what you say we stay for a couple of drinks?" Hogg pulled on his belt and replied, "Well, boss," the judge interrupted. You right, Hog. I think we should celebrate Frankie tonight. You don't see a problem with that, now do you, Frankie? Seeing as how you invited us in. Frankie looked at him sternly, then softened into a smile at the rhetorical question. Not at all. What do you have? Kincaid took a seat. Oh, I don't know. Hogg and I take a couple of old fashions, he said with a long drawl as he quickly added, oh, and use the good bourbon, son. Frankie's hands were steady as he began preparing the drinks at the minibar in the corner. His back to Kincaid. Judge, I might as well stop procrastinating. I won't be making any more payments, he declared, leaving an awkward silence. After a long pause, Kincaid laughed deeply. Son, you can't be serious. We spoke about this. With the charges I have on you, you will be indebted to me for as long as I say you are. Frankie stopped making the drinks and handed Kincaid a folder, its contents obscured from Hogg's view. Kincaid's face flashed with concern. Frankie took notice and returned to the minibar, deliberately prolonging the moment. Kincaid tossed the papers on the table in a dismissive manner before yelling, What the hell is this? Frankie continued pouring the bourbon with precision. Your Honor, I did a little digging on my own, and as you can see, I've learned something that can get in the way of your gubernatorial aspirations. As he began to wrap up the cocktail, Frankie continued, Governor of Louisiana. Whoa, that's a big move, Judge. I've always heard you had to be squeaky clean to pull that off. And let's just say we both know what the information you just saw could complicate your campaign. Kincaid's face twisted in anger. You wouldn't dare. Frankie shrugged while garnishing the two drinks with bitters. I'm just looking out for myself, Judge. But if you don't want me to go public with that information, I suggest we call our debt slick. Frankie remained cool, a slight smirk playing on his lips. And what if? Kincaid challenged. Frankie returned to the table and set the drinks down. He stepped closer to Kincaid with confidence. Then the truth mysteriously comes out from an anonymous source, he replied, his voice low but firm. But for now, let's just enjoy the drinks. He turned back to the bar, a large smile on his face. 2 old fashions for 2 old ass men, he joked, his laughter masking the significance of their exchange. Kincaid's face went pale, his composure faltered as he processed the implications. Abruptly, he stormed out of the room, hog in tow. Frankie's mind was racing with the possibilities. He knew he had just crossed a dangerous man. Outside the door, Kincaid muttered a veiled threat to Hogg. Frankie tried to listen, but the judge's agitation was the only thing that was clear. After a moment, Frankie stopped eavesdropping in pace. The door slowly reopened, revealing Kincaid once more. His anger had given way to a grudging respect. You are a slick one, Frankie Keys, Kincaid conceded quickly with a hint of humor. Seems you have a future governor in your back pocket. Keep my secret to yourself and Louisiana's law won't touch you or apply to you. Frankie replied, What exactly are you saying? The judge studied him for a moment. I'm saying you will never catch a charge in this state as long as I'm around, my boy. With a handshake to seal the deal, Kincaid requested permission to stick around the party for a bit. Hell, I ought to be able to have a few drinks the way you just took me out back and gave me an old-fashioned butt whipping. What do you say? Frankie obliged the judge's request. He saw it as a way to keep his new enemy close for the night. Kincaid joined the party, leaving Frankie alone with his thoughts. The encounter, a dance of power and wits, had ended in Frankie's favor, but at what cost? He knew he had challenged a formidable opponent and that the game was far from over. Frankie lingered for a while, his confrontation with Judge Kincaid pressing heavily on his mind. Silky's word echoed in his ears. A good enemy is better than a false friend. Yet, as he ventured back and forth down the hall, a sense of unease unfurled within him. The laughter and music from the party seemed distant, muffled by his racing thoughts. All right, we getting close to the climax. And I'm almost out of time for the night, but I'm finishing it. Fuck it. I done made it this far. I gotta finish it. Yet, as he ventured back and forth down the hall, the sense of unease unfurled within him. The laughter and music from the party seemed distant, muffled by his racing thoughts. Realizing he was not ready to return to the party, he decided to head back to his sanctuary to clear his mind. As he re-entered the cashmere room, now tainted by the night's revelation, Frankie noticed the air felt colder and denser. He stopped, sensing a presence. From the shadows, a figure emerged, two glasses in hand. Shit! Scared me, Frankie exclaimed, a nervous twitch escaping him as he recognized the face. Oh, what are we drinking? He asked, attempting to shake off the chill that ran down his spine. Bourbon. Your favorite. I'll pour. You relax. The tone warm, the comfort in the voice betraying its intent. As the time passed, the countdown to midnight began. Everyone gathered in the main living area, waiting for the clock to strike 12. Laughter and chatter filled the air. Chubbs and Silky were deep in conversation at the bar, their voice low and serious. Christine lounged elegantly on the couch, her conversation with the judge hushed but discreet. Still unconscious by the sound system, Mississippi Red remained oblivious to the shifting tides. Jimmy was involved in a high-stakes gambling match, taking frequent smoke breaks to calm his nerves. Junior was smitten with a small group of ladies, and Kenya was on the dance floor cutting loose. But Belle, his wife, was still noticeably absent, her whereabouts unknown. Amid the celebration and the constant movement, Cal patrolled the perimeter for his routine sweep. Halting at the sight of an open window, a sense of concern crept through him. Cutting his route short, he moved towards the house. As he advanced from the back to the front, a sudden crash from inside echoed through the halls, halting the party's momentum. What the hell was that? Christine's voice cut through the confusion. Heads turned as everyone searched for the source. Hollywood Red stirred, his slumber disrupted, while Dr. Williams briefly emerged, peeking down the hall, looking bewildered. Cal burst into the room and began pushing people aside, scanning the face until his eyes locked on the guest holding the remnants of a vase. Apologies filled the air, but the damage was done. The guest apologized fervently, begging Cal not to remove her. He surveyed the damage and tried to calm her down. As he did so, Detective Marlowe rushed into the room, having heard the sound of the crash and the resulting commotion. He looked around the room, taking in the scene before him. "What's going on here?" he asked. Cal answered quickly. "Just a broken vase, Tony. All clear." The music was turned back up and continued to blare in the background. Junior had joined Kenya on the dance floor, his childlike demeanor drawing laughter from the onlookers as he showed off his awkward dance moves. Just as the party began to recover, a piercing scream shattered the fragile calm. Kenya, suspended in terror, raced towards the source, Junior trailing behind her. As Kenya reached the doorway, her scream joined the chorus of chaos. They found Cal frantic. His cries sent a wave of panic through the party. Junior stood frozen, his body rigid with shock as he stared at the scene before him. Frankie was on the ground, contorted in agony. His face, usually composed and in control, was twisted in pain. Cal hovered over him, desperation evident in his every move. The room spun for Frankie, his vision blurring as he struggled to breathe. Cal, now holding his head desperately trying to keep him alive, but it was clear he was fading fast. Detective Marlowe and Chubbs entered the scene simultaneously. Marlowe's detective instincts kicked in as he took in the sight before him. The passive detective from earlier was gone. "Someone go find the damn doctor," he demanded, his voice cutting through the noise and screams. Chubbs' sprint down the corridor was a blur in motion, his urgency revealed as he dodged guests and furniture alike, the sound of his heart pounding in his ears and his ears drowned out the distant cries. As he burst into the doctor's room, the sight that greeted him caused a momentary shock. The doctor was laid up with sin in bed. "Doctor, now!" Frankie's in trouble. Chubbs' voice broke through the haze of passion, urgency overriding the doctor's embarrassment. The doctor, startled, stumbled from bed, his mind struggling to adjust from the warmth of the sheets to the cold reality awaiting him. Clad only in his underwear, knee-high socks, and a sleeveless undershirt, he sprinted towards the commotion, his dignity forgetting as his medical instinct seized control. The doctor rushed into the room, his heart sinking at the sight before him. Frankie was gasping for air, his breaths coming in ragged, shallow gulps. The doctor's hand shook as he knelt beside him, immediately noticing the sweat beading on Frankie's forehead. When he grabbed his hand, the doctor felt the clamminess of his skin, cold and damp. Frankie's lips moved, struggling to whisper something. The doctor leaned in, straining to catch words, but they were incoherent. As he focused on Frankie's face, he noticed his pupils were unnaturally dilated. "There's a chance this is lethal," the doctor screamed, pulling back as foam began to form in the corners of Frankie's mouth. "I need my bag," he yelled, shooting out of the room, desperately searching for his medical supplies. "My bag! Where's my bag?" he cried out, panic rising as he rummaged through cabinets and drawers. It suddenly dawned on him. His medical bag was gone. It was nowhere to be found. In desperation, the doctor rushed back to Frankie and made a crude attempt to induce vomiting. He turned Frankie to the side and stuck a finger down his throat, a futile effort to expel any potential poison. But as Frankie's body went limp and his breathing ceased, the doctor knew it was too late. He slumped against the wall, tears of frustration welling up. "What's the time?" he choked out, his voice barely a whisper. Standing in the doorway, numb and disbelieving, Chubbs replied, 10:36. Crying, the doctor said, "The official time of death? It's 10:36. Detective Marlowe, his demeanor grim, took control of the scene. "Everyone out! Now!" he commanded, scanning the room as he noted every detail, every potential clue. As the others filed out, the burden of the night settled on Marlowe's shoulder. This was no longer a celebration. It was a potential crime scene. With the room clear, Marlowe turned to the doctor, who was still slumped on the floor, a broken man. "What happened?" Marlowe asked, his voice steady but concerned. The doctor shook his head, his professional composure shattered. I don't know. I didn't have what I needed. It was too late." All right, let me end it on that one record. Where that joint at? Marlowe stepped into the hallway, his mind already piecing together the fragments of the evening. He knew the suspects weren't just the ones in the room, but anyone who had crossed paths with Frankie. "Cal, sweep the house and keep everyone in the living room," Marlowe instructed, his voice carrying the authority of the bash. "Junior, you start with light questioning. If there's anyone you don't feel good about, hold them. Do not let them leave." Junior replied, 10-4. "Looks like we got a real whodunit on our hands here. And I hate whodunits." It wasn't long before Cal confirmed the house was clear. All the guests had been escorted out except those Junior deemed suspects. As the men and women in question sat patiently in the living room, a tense and somber air replaced the earlier merriment. Things took an unexpected twist when Bell and Hogg walked into the home together, drawing the attention of every person in question. They were greeted not by music and laughter, but by suffocating silence. Belle held a small bag, her smile fading as Junior relayed the grim message. "A murder?" Belle exclaimed, her eyes widening in shock. "In our home?" she yelled, her voice trembling with disbelief. The room was filled with whispers and nervous glances as everyone struggled to process the moment. Detective Marlowe stepped forward, taking in each face in turn. "Folks, this is now a murder investigation," he announced. I need everyone's cooperation as we try to piece together what happened." As the clock continued its relentless march towards midnight, the party that had promised so much joy and celebration had instead delivered a mystery wrapped in tragedy, with Frankie at its center. that is the end of chapter 1. Chapter 1 is titled A Murder. As you can see, hold on. Chapter 1 is titled A Murder. A good enemy is better than a false friend. Chapter 1, A Murder. A good enemy is better than a false friend. The "a murder" line comes from the end of the chapter when Belle screams out at Junior's reaction to, hey, there's been a murder. We think Frankie was murdered. We're not sure, but we think Frankie was murdered. So she's like, a murder? That's where the title for chapter 1 comes from, A Murder. You'll see a continuing theme throughout the book where there's a chapter title that kind of has some symbolism to what the chapter will be. There's a quote to the chapter in every chapter, that there's a quote that's inside of said chapter that I put at the beginning of the chapter to kind of give you some insight into the chapter. So chapter 1, A Murder. A good enemy is better than a false friend. These are the words Frankie was thinking when he was thinking about that he just crossed the judge. He just got into bed with the judge. And he's thinking about what Silky has told him. And Silky has told him time and time again, a good friend is better than a false enemy. So that's his logic. But yeah, that's chapter 1, man. I think that was a dang good reading for today. Let me see. How do we end this? Okay. So, got you. All right. So, what's next? So, for the next chapter, I don't know. We'll see what happens when I come back for day 2. Maybe I read it through all the way first, chapter by chapter. Like, let's just get the whole book on wax. Get the whole book on wax, the accidents, all of that. And we can start like really just having a dialogue and practicing on different voices, different areas, reading different scenes. I think maybe that could be a next step. We'll think more about that. I'll pull up more visuals that inspired me. As you can see, I've had this one up there for people for a minute now. But let me find Detective Marlowe. This will work. Like, but black. Detective Marlowe. So we'll talk about more of our characters. Maybe at some point we just start doing like a character breakdown. Maybe we'll just do different character voices, what's working, what's not working from different voices and stuff like that. And then eventually, obviously, we'll get into recording, but that's way down the line. We got to find more beats. We got to find, like, it's a lot of work that's about to go into this. I think it's going to be a fun project for me to do over the course of the fall. I want you to be tapped into it every step of the way. Call to action. If you want to get in on the book early, if you want to read the book early, you can purchase a copy of the book on my website, jtexpressive.com. I'll sign it. I have an option on there for a signed copy. That's like, if you just buy a copy, I'll sign it. But like, eventually I'm gonna get to a point where I'm not signing them anymore. Once we get more orders coming in and it's just giving me arthritis. But for right now, if you order one, I'll sign it. So you can also get the digital book on my website, jtexpressive.com. You can also get it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. It's all over the place. You can follow me everywhere at jtexpressive. That's literally my handle across everything. I do several different things. I stream this. I'm also about to start streaming a kind of writer's room. My cousin and I gotta stop calling him my cousin. He is my cousin, but my co-host, because I don't want people to know we're related for real. My co-host and I, we're starting a night show. We're calling it A Week Ago Tonight. And once a week, I'm also going to be doing research on that, looking at different topics that we want to cover on the night show. So this audiobook is just one of my kind of passion projects over the long term. Something else that, like I said, I'm really serious about is this night show. And then another thing, if you just want to mess with me on some gaming, chess, Halo, Grand Theft Auto. I'm on Twitch also, JT Expressive, and that's where I just go to hang out sometimes. So that's all I got for you today. Read the book, read the first chapter. I'm excited about this. I just wanted to get out here, hit it up. I'm gonna try and come on tomorrow. Tomorrow's probably gonna be more of a night show day, so don't expect book stuff tomorrow. But I'm also gonna break this out by like playlists and chapters and stuff like this. So we all good. Until next time, it's your boy Jay Taylor. Looking forward to putting the audiobook together with you. Peace.